real and steal. Welcome back, viewers. I want to piggyback on the last video, and I want to talk about myself, just to see if you guys have an understanding of what I mean and the importance of a guardian. It could be a parent or it could be a guardian. Growing up, I was raised in a Haitian household. Had both of my parents. My father came up here when he was 16. My mother came up here when she was about, I'd say, in her 20s. Just to say, there's not much that they knew, right? They were raised on an island. So just think about how much knowledge and wisdom that they know. Growing up, my father, he was always working. So he's the provider. That's all he knew, was to provide. My mother, of course, she was, doing as much as she could, also working. While they were doing that, there was not much attention being drawn to the kids. And at a young age, we need that attention. And it's not just attention, but we also need knowledge and wisdom as well. So, growing up, my mother was always there. Anytime there was any issues at school or whatever it is, she was the emergency contact. She was the person that you had to speak to. Because my father, he was at work, couldn't get in contact with him. So my mother was basically the one that raised us, that taught us a little bit about life. And my father, I'm not gonna say he wasn't there, but it just wasn't present. And there's some characteristics that we grew up to have because of our parents. And I'll say my father, for instance, he was another kind of character that just didn't interact with anybody. He was very quiet, antisocial, doesn't have any friends. And now to realize that carries on to the kids as well. Because you don't want to have friends, you don't want to speak to anybody, you feel like you don't need any friends, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to communicate to the kids. And communication is key. It is so much key that it could affect the relationship that you have with whoever it is. And that's what happened. The relationship wasn't there. And I have nothing against the man. I love the man. Just to say, it was just what we needed at that time, at that age. The communication, the just being present. And him not being present, it took a toll on the kids. And the toll that it took, we had lack of communication. And communication is like the ultimate thing you need. And I'll stress that again, it is important. So my father not being there the way he needs to be there, and caused us to just figure out life on our own. We had to learn how to obtain knowledge and wisdom by ourselves because we weren't getting fed that. So we had no choice but to open up a book. We had no choice but to look in our phones to see what kind of knowledge is out there. Even that can be very tough, especially in this reality, in this generation now. Opening up your phone, the amount of things that they feed you on social media is it can confuse you. Now you have to be very careful with as well. But I'll say if you open up a book, it's straightforward as opposed to social media, depending on where you're going. But we had to open up a book. We had to go out there and learn on our own. And that's okay. But there's certain things that we were supposed to be taught at a young age so we could avoid those mistakes. So we could avoid certain things in our life. We had no choice but to face these mistakes, face these challenges, overcome these challenges on our own because we weren't taught enough. to have an idea of what is it that we're going to get ourselves into. So just a little bit about the childhood and how important, especially nowadays, I'm seeing fathers aren't being there. They're not being present. It's very important for them to be present. Kids is just doing whatever they want. Growing up in a single family house, I mean, I was in the same situation. My father wasn't there. He was always working, so I basically grew up in a single family house where my mother was the only one there taking care of us, because I tried to speak to my father and he wasn't speaking back. See, these are the little things that I had to face. But let me tell you, these little things that I had to face did not determine who I am today. It created who I am today, but it does not determine who I am going to be in the next 5 years. Because I could sit here and dwell about it and say, oh, well, I had this lifestyle. It wasn't the greatest, and when, right? But you can't do that. You can't dwell. You have to move forward. You have to get to the next step in life. Some things are left in the past, and you just have to keep it in the past so you can move forward. Because the more you sit there and dwell on it, the harder it is for you to move forward. It's like if you're swimming and you have a chain around you full of rocks, and those rocks is consisting of your past. What's going to happen to you? You're going to sink, right? It's the same concept. You're going to sink if you continue to hold on to the past, especially if it's things that are affecting you today. So you have to let the past go so you can keep swimming. I want to speak to you guys and let you guys know, let go and move forward. Real talk.